The most derailed episode from iCarly is IPL Store. Yes. Not only is this episode so derailed, but it's also one of the worst episodes from the show in my view. Second behind I'm Fred. Why? Because of 4 subplots that have nothing to do with the web show. Oh my god. I could go on and on and on about this episode because of everything wrong in this episode. Because of how hateable the characters are and how stupid the morals are. I mean, really. Let's get into the Spencer plot. After causing another fire, the fire department is done with Spencer, which means that they're not gonna put up another fire. There's a lot wrong with this. Look, I know that Spencer caught the fire department 18 times, but that still doesn't mean it just easily go away and not let it happen. If you don't put up a fire, the entire building will burst into flames. And the main problem with that is that they act like it's not very a big issue. It's their job to put out a fire. You can't just make a choice on ignoring the fact that you should not take out the exact same fire over and over again. Because not only will you go out of business, you will probably get fired or probably get a bad reputation of not helping the people in the Seattle hotel apartment building. I don't know what the building in the Seattle of what apartment that Spencer Carly is in, but I'm just proving my point. And Spencer has to work for them for free. And guess what? He causes another fire yet again. And it all ends that the fire department will never come to take out the fires. Wow. What a great ending to a very lazy plot. I just got nothing else to say except lazy and stupid. Okay, let's get into the Pelton Store aspect. Since that there's 3 plots involving the Pelton Store, none of them have very great endings and they'll just phone in for nothing. Here's my opinion on the Pelton and iCarly. It may be a metaphor that Dan Stein wants to use for iCarly, Victorious, and Sam and Cat, and they did some of it at the end of the last season of Drake and Josh. But having an episode dedicated to the Pelton Store feels very unnecessary. I mean, if they're gonna have an episode like this, they should have Freddie gets paid a lot of money and have new equipment to help on the studio on iCarly. That would have been a better plot than 4 plots that we have. Well, the 3 plots that we have, Carly flirts another guy yet again. Seriously, Carly flirting with so many boys is just getting old. Even if this is the last time we were going to see it. And when Gibby wants to buy a phone, Woody wants money because if he doesn't, her girlfriend would dump him. Yes, Woody from the Sam and Cat episode #MyPupal makes an appearance in this episode. He also appeared in I Date Sam and Freddy, but apparently he has a job at the Pelton Store for some reason. And the joke that they're trying to do in this is just very lazy and very forced. I mean, really, I got nothing else to say about it except that Gibby's just trying to find a phone while the walker is just very sweaty because of his girlfriend going to dump him because he hasn't sold anything yet. And then at the end of the subplot, when Gibby didn't bring any money, Woody fails. And that's it. That's literally it. This plot was just very pointless and very unneeded to have Gibby be part of this episode. Look, I'm just gonna point this out right now. Some cartoons and live action shows have characters be away for some episodes. They don't have to be in the same focus. I mean, look at My Little Pony. Not every character has to be in every single episode. I know that these 2 shows are completely different, but that's just how it works. Despite the fact that even though that iCarly doesn't have a lot of main characters, they can still do better from this. It just feels very lazy and just how they had to fill in everything for 22 minutes to make an iCarly episode. As for the Carly plot in this episode, after Carly's boy is finally on a date, he is about to completely sexually assault Carly. I'm not kidding. I know that's not what they're intending to do, but it just feels like it. I mean, when Carly was about to get something for his boy, he changed from his nerd costume to a very hot costume, and that's basically it. And when the boy tries to kiss Carly, Carly just runs away, and when Spencer finds out about this, he kicks him out and he destroys his phone from creeping out Carly. And that's how the plot ends. Yeah, the fire department thing completely ignored, and the dating plot completely gone out the window. And so is the Gibby plot. Seriously, these 3 plots have no point of being in this episode with no proper ending. I mean, the Gibby plot, which is basically the weakest of all these plots, is the only plot that actually has a proper ending. While the other 2 plots have really nothing to do with the web show or anything like that. And you know what the sad thing about this whole thing is? The main plot of this episode. Oh my god. I really hate the main plot of this episode so much. It's another Freddy torture porn, but done wrong. If you see Movie Job, you've seen this episode, but very, very terribly executed. Since Freddy knows everything and knows how to do his own working job, Sam somehow got a job because everyone treats Freddy terrible in this episode. For nothing at all. Like, really, why does everyone have to be so stupid and cruel to Freddy when they're going to a IPL store where they need technology? That doesn't even make any sense. And the worst part about it is that Sam got a job in the IPL store. All because she does the simplest ideas of just buy the new one and say, well, why wouldn't you? Really, that's how easily she got the job. Unlike Drake Parker, who is actually very sweet and nice, and you can really understand that Helen really loves Drake, this, however, is just very terrible. Madeline, who is the boss of Freddy in this episode, is just... oh my god. She has no emotions, and she doesn't want anything at all, and this entire world is just cruel to Freddy for no reason in this episode. I mean, really. It makes no logic, and the logic in this episode is just backwards to terrible. I'm serious. I really hate the logic in this episode a lot. When Benson completely exposes that Sam has a prison's record, the boss doesn't care whatsoever. I mean, really, how can you easily tolerate that when someone who went to juvie? It makes no sense whatsoever. All this makes no sense. And yet this is a good idea to hire Sam? The logic in this show just gets even more worse and worse and worse, to the point that people can't stand watching this crap anymore. And I'm getting sick and tired of the Freddy torture porns in these episodes. Why? Because it's just uncalled for. Just like in I Me Fred, Freddy gets punished because he didn't do anything whatsoever. I mean, yes. In I Me Fred, he did say he didn't like his videos, but the punishment was just uncalled for. And here, this is also uncalled for, but stupider and very poorly executed. Seriously, the customers only treat Freddy garbage because he's a nub. I'm really getting sick and tired of the characters saying that it's very sad that Freddy doesn't get a girlfriend, or very sad that people are saying that Freddy doesn't have any friends because he's a nerd. Will you shut up already? It's getting old. We're in the 6th season of the show, and this crap needs to die. You wanna know why this ticks me off so much? It's because of how lazy it is. It doesn't even try its best to show some sympathy to Freddy Benson. Even when Freddy calls her out about all the terrible things that Sam did, he gets fired. I'm not kidding. That's the punishment that he gets for being angry. Oh my god. Mally is just a terrible boss in this episode with no emotion whatsoever. And then when Sam randomly decides to chill up Freddy, even though she has no point of taking the job and has no reason to upset Freddy, decides that she quits her job because her boss completely doesn't care about anything for taking it way too far on Freddy. No, really. That's what this episode ends with. It's not like we get a sweet ending where Sam just completely quits his job and give his job back to Freddy. It just ends with Freddy not getting his job back and Sam quitting because randomness. That's all I say. It's just randomness. This episode is by far the most derailed episode from the show. When you don't have anything involving the web show and have 4 subplots that are underdeveloped and lazy, you have a very terrible episode that only exists just to be an episode. Seriously, this Freddy torture porn is just getting done to death and it's not very interesting whatsoever. Look, I like Freddy, and I don't like how he's treated in I, Me, Fred and in this episode. At this point, the logic that Dan Snyder did in this episode is just pathetic, lazy, and unprofessional. I mean, really, how can anyone defend this episode other than being Freddy and Sam shippers? Just as I expected, they can't, because they can't defend anything that is derailed. You know what makes this episode okay? Like I said, Freddy getting paid enough and getting more equipment for iCarly. This episode would have been much better if we have none of this. It would have been much better if Freddy actually uses his money to buy more equipment for the iCarly team. This would have been a great episode despite its flaws. But since we get a very lazy episode that has nothing to do with the web show, have nothing to do with respect, and have no logic whatsoever, you get one of the worst episodes of not being a derailed episode, but from iCarly in general. Oh my god, this list was just a very long one for me to go through. And the derail elements that they did is just so poor in iCarly in its later seasons. If you guys still like some of the episodes, well, hopefully not IPL Store, then I do respect your opinion, but you can't accept the fact that these episodes have to have some relevance to the web show. I know that not every episode needs to involve the web show, and if they're going to do that, they should at least put effort and care into them instead of being very ruthless and unlogical. I just really have nothing else to say about this. I'm not saying that I'm glad that iCarly's over. In fact, iGoodbye is a very great special, and most of the episodes that this show has in its later seasons, while most of it are considered bad, there are some gems here and there. But when it comes to how lazy and unprofessional it is in its later seasons, especially that Dan Snyder takes a turn when Sam and Cat came around, it's just very sad that we will never get to see a reboot of iCarly. Now, the only thing I could say from this is that we should probably get a movie about it. I know we got 2 movies, but probably a feature-length film or something, I don't know. I just got nothing else to say with iCarly. I know it's never going to come back, but just seeing how this show has left and how Dan Snyder's Bakery has become, it's just very sad. Really disappointing. Anyway, I'm Lonely Fanboy Flay here, and I'll see you later.